today we are discussing a very interesting topic that is about the personality of the leaders, right. That is the, and there are so many questions are there related to the personality, and the first question arises that what is the personality, how a person develops the personality, why some persons are very effective leader, how they develop that personality. So, you must be curious about knowing all these things, and that in this session we will be discussing this particular issue. So, first we will talk about the understanding the personality. Now, you see there a lot of research has been done, and the researchers have their opinion about the personality, that the prominent well accepted definition, some of them I would like to interact with you. Then there are the actually whatever we say the characteristics, it is the personality traits are there, and the what are the personality traits and leadership is there. Then the trait theory is there. The Allport's trait theory is there, Cattell's trait theory is there, Approach-Avoidance Framework is there, Big 5 or Ocean model of personality that we will be discussing, and as usual the case study, research papers, book recommendations and references will be there in this session also. Now, whenever we are talking about the persistence, so nothing in the world can take the place of the persistence, right. So, in Indian culture also you will find that is the, we right from the childhood, the value system which we imbibe into the child, and that is about the persistence, right. So, the talent will not, nothing is more common than the unsuccessful man with talent. So, therefore, in that case, that is you will find there are the talented people are there, but they are not successful. So, therefore, even they are having the intellectual ability and they are not successful. Genius will not, right. Unrewarded genius is almost a proverb, right. So, therefore, in that case even if you are genius, not necessarily you will get the rewarded. Education will not, the world is full of educated intellects. So, therefore, in that case it is not like this, that is the there are the, if you are very highly educated, so you will be successful. Persistence and determination alone are the omnipotent. But what will make you the successful, and it is your persistence and determination, right. So, press on has solved and always will solve the problems of the human race, and therefore, in that case what is most important is this, that is the persistence, persistence and persistence. As I mentioned, it is the different researchers have given the different definitions of the personality on basis of their research, right. So, let us see some of them. Personality is the sum total of all the biological innate disposition. So, therefore, in that case when we talk about your DNA, when you talk about the skin color, when we talk about the color of your eyes, color of your hairs. So, that is a biological innate disposition, impulses, psychological tendencies and appetites and instinct of the individual, right, and therefore, that is the acquiring the disposition and the tendencies are there. Allport has given in 1961 another definition, personality is a dynamic organization within the individual. So, it is true, that is every individual is an organization within his within himself, right. So, therefore, it is within the individual of those psychological systems that determine his unique adjustment to his environment. It is a wonderful, and you must have also experienced that is the we are getting a different environment, and then we adjust ourselves with the different environment, and that psychological adjust system, right, and which determines that is in a given situation how to adjust, right, and that is about the personality according to the Allport is there. R.B. Cattell in 1965 has given the definition, personality that which permits a prediction of what a person will do in a given situation. It is also response to the situation. So, Allport has talked about the in a given environment, that is in a given environment what will be the situation, and here it will be that is in a given situation. So, R.B. Cattell has talked about that is in a given situation how a person will respond, that will decide about the personality of the individual is there. Now, what determines the personality? So, personality is determined by the heredity, environment and situation, right. So, personality reflects the heredity and environment, and therefore, factors determine at conception one's biological, then the physiological and inherent psychological makeup. right. And therefore, in that case these are the parameters are there which are very very important, and that is about the biological parameters, like for example, the height. So, somebody sees your grandparents see you, and then they say, oh, are your friends talk to you, that is you are looking like your father, right. So, that is the biological is there. And then when we are talking about the physiological and inherent psychological makeup is there, that will be respond as per the heredity is concerned. Environmental factors are very very important, do have some influence, culture, family background, life experiences and socialization process is there. So, therefore, in the culture, in the family, family background, so person develops, then accordingly the value systems develop. Whenever we are giving the particular culture or we are living in a particular style of family, then our perception, our thought process is also directed towards this type of these thinking system, because we have developed into that particular environment. So, personality has two meaning: the impression a person make on other, right, that is the how the you make a impression to others by your personality, and underlying unseen structure and processes inside a person that explain behavior. This is very very important, dear friends, as far as our subject is concerned. Okay, so whatever the person express, that we can see, we can understand, but whatever the person is inside, unseen structure, and that is very difficult. All of us are having the an organization within our system, right. That word is very beautiful, that is the yes. It is very difficult to say that whatever what you are seeing, and that is the truth only, that is not correct. Under unseen structure and processes, a person's that also explains the behavior of the person. Most research about the relationship between personality and leadership is based on the trait approach. Trait are the recurring regularities or trends in a person's behavior. Trait approach theory maintains that people behave the way they do because of the strength of the traits they possess, right. So, personality traits are there, and therefore, in that case this particular theory talks about that whatever type of the traits you are having, and that particular trait theory, right, and that will determine that is the how the person will behave. And on basis of these personality traits which are very useful for explaining why people act fairly consistently in different situations. So, fairly and consistently, that you have to note, that is normally whatever the personality traits are there, it will be very difficult for person to manipulate it. The person will not be able to manipulate. Knowing differences in personality traits can help predict more accurately how people will tend to act in a different situation. But like whatever the unseen is there, no, the unseen is because of the personality traits, and if you are capable enough to identify that unseen personality traits, to judge the person. So, therefore, the leader, when he identifies that type of these the unseen personality traits, then definitely he will be able to predict your behavior. Leader behavior reflects an interaction between personality trait and various situational factors. Weak situations are unfamiliar and ambiguous is there, and strong situations are governed by the specific rules, demands or the organizational policies which can minimize the effects that traits have on behavior is there. And therefore, in that case, whenever we are talking about these strong situations are there, then these strong situations which can minimize the effect that is the trait on the behavior is there, because there is a favorable situation is there. In this trait theory of leadership, based on the assumption that people are born with inherited traits, and some traits are particularly suited to leadership. So, in earlier session we have talked about leaders are born or leaders are made, and here we talk about that is the leaders, some traits are the person born with the certain personality traits which is suited to the leadership. The theory aims to discover specific leadership and personality traits and characteristics proven to predict the likelihood of success or failure of a leader, and also differentiate leader from follower. and therefore, in that case it will be seen that is whenever we are talking about that success or failure of a leader, then definitely this particular the trait theories that differentiates the behavior. And this theory is described by the Kelly in 1974 attempts to classify what personal characteristics such as physical, as I mentioned earlier, biological, personality, psychological and mental are associated with the leadership success is there. And therefore, in 1974 this theory supported the trait theory, trait behavior, and therefore, leaders those who are born with this leadership certain traits, then definitely in that case that they will be the successful is there. And these characteristics are the physical and personality and mental are there. Whenever we are talking about this physical and mental personality, then these are the supported by the personality traits. Traits also called dispositions. Traits can be defined as habitual patterns of behavior, thought and emotion, habitual pattern of the thought also and emotions also. So, in a given situation what will be your thought process? A leader will be able to identify, and what will be your emotions, and then he will be able to leader can predict that. So, traits are relatively stable over time, differ across individuals and influence the behavior. Traits are external behaviors and that emerge from internal beliefs and processes are there. A very beautiful explanation, that is these are internal, but expressed externally. The trait approach to personality is one of the major theoretical areas in the study of human personality and focus on difference between the individuals. So, therefore, whenever the discussion comes that is the what is the difference between the two individuals. So, this trait approach has been considered first, that is they are different because of these their personality traits are different. So, to study the leadership, that is the very different traits of the personality, those have been identified, and on basis of this identification various traits from a personality and that which is the unique to the individual, that will determine whether the person will be leader or he will not be leader. The Gordon-Allport's trait theory, Gordon-Allport categorized traits into three levels, that is the cardinal traits and the central traits are there. The cardinal traits, traits that dominate an individual's whole life, often to the point that the person becomes known specifically for these traits is there, and therefore, in that case throughout his life the person showcase his those personality traits, while the central traits are those traits, the general characteristics that form the basic foundations of personality, and the central traits, while not as dominating as cardinal traits, are the major characteristics you might use to describe another person. So, sir, there are these central traits are there, which are basically the foundation of personality, and the cardinal traits are which are the reflecting throughout the life. The secondary traits, in the case of the central traits, examples have been given: intelligence, honest, shy, anxious are considered as a central traits are there. The secondary traits that are sometimes related to the attitudes or preference and often appear only in certain situations are there. So, secondary traits are, for example, unfavorable situation. If unfavorable situation arises, then definitely there will be the secondary traits will be there, and then under the specific circumstances these secondary traits will be reflecting. So, therefore, the basically throughout life cardinal test is there, central traits are there, they form the basic foundation of the personality, but may not be reflected every time, right. And there the Cattell's trait theory is how it is different from the Allport's theory. After Allport, major contribution to trait theory was made by the R.B. Cattell. He divided traits into two categories, right, and the surface traits and the source traits are there. So, surface traits, as the name suggests, these are found on the periphery of personality, that is these are reflected in the day to day interactions of the person, and their expression is so explicit that it leaves no doubt about their existence in the personality. So, therefore, in that case in a previous slide we had talked about the foundation of the personality is there, central traits were there which were the foundation of the personality. But so, in these Allport has after Allport this Cattell's trait theory has given the same definition, but he has titled it as the surface traits. Then the source traits are there. These represent the structure of personality. These traits are not observable in day to day interaction of the person, that is the secondary traits in case of the previous slide, Allport's case. Source traits come to notice when some of the surface traits are joined together. This type of traits that have been titled by the different authors differently, but basically there are certain personality traits which will be always reflected. There will be the certain personality traits which will be reflecting in a given situation. There will be certain personality traits which will be the supporting traits, right. So, in this case but our concern that we will take further later on, that is about the which traits are important for the leadership. Now, here it is the approach motivation is there. In approach motivation behavior, Approach-Avoidance Framework is instigated or directed by a positive desirable event or possibility. So, a person acts, the person acts because he is looking for the positive outcome, and that desirable possibility of the outcome that directs his behavior, and for that behavior he is highly motivated. Second is avoidance motivation. So, naturally undesirable or the negative output is there. So, for example, if I will study, I will score. If I will not study, I will not score. So, therefore, to study is a motivation for the to score, and that is a desirable event or the possibility is there, right. Avoidance motivation, not to study, that is also a motivation that we should avoid not to study. And why we are avoiding not to study, that is a negative undesirable event or possibility is there. So, that fear of getting failure, that will be having this particular issue. Personality traits or personality dimensions are there. These are the big 5 or ocean model of personality is there. An integration of personality research that represents the various personality description in one common framework is there. That is the openness, conscientiousness, neuroticism, agreeableness and extraversion is there. So, this is called the big 5 model is there. A lot of research has been done, and then an integration of the personality research, right, and this is becoming the common framework is coming, and in this common framework the person who is having the openness means that is the always ready to welcome the new ideas are there. The individual differences in social and emotional life organized into a 5-factor model of personality, and these are the 5 factors are there. Broad abstract level, and each dimension summarized a larger number of the personality characteristics are there. So, now you see in every individual there are lot of personality traits, but somewhere we have to combine. So, on the basis of research which has been done on the personality, the big 5 model has been introduced, and therefore, somebody says 16,000 personality traits are there, and out of those 16,000 personality traits of the human beings, then we have been be able to classify on the basis of these big 5 dimensions. Consciousness describes a person's ability to regulate their impulse control in order to engage in goal oriented behaviors. It measures elements such as the control, inhibition and persistency of the behavior is there. So, when first we are taking the conscientiousness. So, high on conscientiousness means competence, organize, dutifulness, achievement striving, self discipline and deliberation. You can find out that is the out of this dimension. Suppose you are rating from scale 1 to 7, then in Likert scale where whether you have high or you are having the low on consciousness is there. In low on consciousness is incompetent, disorganized, careless, procrastinates, indisciplined and the impulsive is there. So, we can judge the individual's personality traits on these traits, we can judge the individual, and then naturally you can identify who can be the leader. The leader who will be the high on conscientiousness, then definitely those personality traits a person will be having. You are having the number of subordinates, and out of those subordinates, those two you have to give a position or a promotion. You can say simple word is promotion. How will you give that promotion, or so then that will depend on, that is the how competent the person is. If the person is highly competent, then it is there, but it is, as I already mentioned in earlier, that is, it is not the competence, it is the convenience also. And when I talk about the convenience, this agreeableness comes. How people train to treat relationship with others. Convenience, I have mentioned that formula, competence and convenience, do not forget that formula. So, unlike extraversion, which consists of the pursuit of relationships, agreeableness focuses on people's orientation and interaction with others. HR skills. So, one may be competent, but not necessarily successful leader. So, HR skills are required. What HR skills are required? Trust, to trust your people, because ultimately you have to get work done from them. If you will not trust the people, you will classify your employees into the on the negative traits. How, like here low on agreeableness, you will, if you are skeptical, demanding, or insult and politeness others, stubborn, show off, unsympathetic, please do not do this. This is the low on agreeableness is there. What is required to be leader? High on agreeableness is required. That is a modesty, sympathetic, empathy, trust, right. These are the traits, personality traits. So, suppose you ask, that is, sir, what are the personality traits into the consciousness and agreeableness. So, you should look at the list of those who are high on conscientiousness and high on the agreeableness. So, therefore, they are high on their competency, and they are high on treating the relationship with others. And if you are able to making treating the relationship with others, then nicely, then definitely you convert a group into team, and when you convert the group into team, you are a successful leader. You can judge for the others also, whether they are the successful, they can become the successful leaders or not, if they are high on the consciousness and agreeableness. Now, the extraversion. What is extraversion? Extraversion reflects the tendency and intensity to which someone seeks interaction with their environment, whatever environment is there, favorable or unfavorable, particularly socially. Social environment is there, and when they are suppose the marriage is there, meeting is there, gathering is there, formal social activity is there, it encompasses the comfort and ascertainable level of people in social situation. How much comfortable you are? You just come, you attend the function and you go without much interacting with others. Whatever the minimum interaction is required, you just say hello, hi, good morning, good evening, and that is all. No, that is what is required to be successful leader? High on extraversion is required, sociable, energized by social interaction, excitement seeking, enjoys being the center of attention, and outgoing is there. Dear friends, this is based on the research. So, therefore, you have to develop. Now, you will say, sir, I am low on extraversion. Can I convert my low on extraversion to the high on extraversion? Yes, you can convert. How you can convert? Very simple example. If you prefer if you are low on extraversion, you will prefer the solitude. No, become the more socialized, interact with the people, become the center point of the discussion, and therefore, people surrounding to you, they focus on you and they start talking. You will find in your family also. If there is a marriage or something is there, you find there is one uncle or auntie that everybody is around to that uncle or auntie, and they are holding the position, though they are not the parents of the neither the groom or the bride, they are not there, but they are the center point are there. So, that is the extraversion. Openness to experience. Now, you see, life is a journey, and in journey we are having the lot of experiences. So, there will be the different platforms, it is a journey from platform to platform, from birth to the funeral. So, therefore, in that case, so lot of experiences are there and then you some are sweet, some are sorrow. So, therefore, in that case, but what leader is required? Leaders cannot take these things to the heart for a long time, right. You have to adjust with the environment. So, high on openness to experience is curious, imaginative, creative, open to trying new things, and the unconventionals are there. So, therefore, try, why not try? If you will not try, you then how will you get it? So, try, maybe, otherwise may not be. So, if it is may not be, okay, that is fine, we were knowing it may not be, but we tried, so it may be, right. That is the neuroticism is there. It describes the overall emotional stability of an individual through how they perceive the world. It takes into account how likely a person is to interpret events as threatening or difficult, right. It also includes one's propensity to experience the negative emotions. I come across many times this type of this list is there of the high neuroticism and the low neuroticism, and then I come across this type of these issues with the my alumni, that is the boss is bully and therefore they want to leave the organization. So, it is basically what happens, that is these are neuroticism, right. How likely a person is to interpret the events is threatening or difficult. So, the bully boss will be bully for everybody. So, if you will ask your colleagues, your seniors, they will say, he behaves like this only, right. So, but they do not give that much importance, right. But we are new. So, when we face this type of the situation first time, so we are scared, that is also natural, I do not say that there is something wrong, but what is important is that is the how you interpret it, and then you say, oh, this boss will throw me out, my life will be miserable, my family will is dependent on me, where I will go, there are new jobs, corona is there. So, then it is the interpretation basically. How do you interpret? How leaders will interpret? Leaders will interpret with the fighting spirit. So, when we are talking of these big 5 traits, the emotional stability, extraversion, openness, agreeableness and consciousness, then the less negative thinking and the fewer negative emotions and less hyper vigilant are there, right, in emotional stability. What does it affects? Higher job and the life satisfaction and lower stress level is there, right, because they are having the less negative thinking is there, those who are emotionally stable. Extraversion people, better interpersonal skills, as I have mentioned, they are more socializing, greater social dominance and more emotional than the expressive are there. So, higher performance, enhanced leadership, higher job and the life satisfaction is there. In case of the openness, increased learning, so therefore, training performance, enhanced leadership and the more adaptable to the change is there. In case of the agreeableness, better liked, more compliant and the conforming is there, because they are having the better acceptance. Higher performance, lower level of the deviant behavior is there. The consciousness is there, greater efforts and the persistence, more drive and discipline is there, higher performance, enhanced leadership and the greater longevity is there. So, therefore, in that case you will find whenever we are talking about these big 5 traits, then whatever is the way we handle the situation. Again, how the one handles the situation on the basis of heredity, environment and situation, but his basic personality traits, the core traits, right, which has been given by the Allport and Cattell's model we have seen, and therefore, in that case we can find out that is on these 5 dimensions how the one will react, that will depend on that is the how his personality traits are. So, here openness to experience, I like travelling to foreign countries, I enjoy going to attend learning and development sessions. So, you can find out from yourself or from your those employees to whom you want to give the leadership assignment, that is whether they like the travelling or they enjoy going to attend learning or they are focused only on their work and therefore, they are happy, they cannot be the leaders, because they are narrow downing their premises. In consciousness, I enjoy putting together, detailed plans are there, I rarely get into trouble, Extraversion is I like having responsibility for others, I have a large group of friends, so therefore, that is a more socialization. Agreeableness, I am a sympathetic person, I get along with others. Neuroticism, I remain calm in present situations, I take personal criticism well. Now, this is very important point, that is the these positive traits, openness, consciousness, extraversion, agreeableness, that is okay, that is fine, but you have to also to be very careful in developing neuroticism. So, therefore, in that case, if you are able to take the pressure of the work environment, if you are having the ability to compete with the whatever the negative situation is there, then you will be more successful. So, therefore, if you take the personal criticism also very well, that is yes, if this is the situation, I and the people are saying that is you are having this weakness, no problem, I will try to develop my convert my weakness into the strength. So, I develop my strength and minimize my weaknesses, and like this the neuroticism will be applicable in developing the leadership by personality. So, model provides an explanation for leaders and follows tendencies to act in the consistent ways over time. Behavior manifestations of personality traits are often exhibited automatically and unconsciously. So, therefore, in this case you will find that immediate react or you respond. So, that reaction or respond to a given situation, and that is about the behavior manifestation is there, and that person cannot hide. So, therefore, in that case these five big five for the ocean model, it talks about that is the leadership gains self insight to improve decision making. So, because you know what is your personality, once you know your personality, then it will be helpful for your decision making. Leadership researchers categorize findings, that is the how the findings are relevant. Model helps to profile the leaders, and model seems to be universally applicable across the cultures are there. If this is a situation, then these reliably categorize the 5 major dimensions of this 5 factor model are good measures of leadership potential, can be used to make predictions about typical behavior at work. So, what will be behavior at work, that you can predict and tend to be difficult to change, are exhibited automatically and without conscious thought, and predispose people to act in certain ways, but behaviors can be modified through the experience, feedback and reflection is there. As usual, now after the understanding of the personality traits, then the definitions of personality and the Allport's model and Cattell's model, then the big 5 model. Now, we will talk about a particular practical application, that is a case study is there. One downside of agreeableness is potentially lower earnings. Recent research has shown the answer to these and other puzzles, some of them may surprise you. So, most obvious, agreeable individuals are less adept at a type of negotiation called distributive bargaining. This is very interesting. What is the distributive bargaining? Where the rewards are given, is less about the creating win-win situation and more about claiming as large of a share of the pie is possible. Because salary negotiations are generally distributive, agreeable individuals often negotiate lower salaries for themselves, agreeableness, because you say okay, it is fine, then they might otherwise get. Perhaps because of this impaired ability to negotiate distributively, agreeable individuals have lower credit scores. So, therefore, agreeableness is good, but up to a certain extent. Second, agreeable individuals may choose to work in industries or occupations that earn lower salaries, such as the caring industries of the education or healthcare, right, because they are not looking for the much materialistic the returns on their efforts. Agreeable individuals are also attracted to jobs both in the public sector and in non-profit organizations. Third, the earnings of agreeable individuals also may be reduced by their low drive to emerge as leaders and by their tendency to engage in lower degrees of proactive task behavior, such as coming up with the ways to increase organizational effectiveness, and therefore, they will not come forward much about their in the front row by the social centric behavior. While being agreeable certainly does not appear to help one's pay, it does provide other benefits. Agreeable individuals are better liked at work and generally are happier at work and in life. right. That is the biggest reward to a person who is having the agreeableness. Nice guys and girls may finish last in terms of earnings, but wages themselves do not define a happy life, and on that front agreeable individuals have the advantage. Do you think employers must choose between agreeable employees and the top performers? Why or not? Right. So, that this is the assignment for you. These are the questions. The effects of personality depend on the situation. Can you think of the same job situation in which agreeableness is an important virtue, in some in which it is harmful to job performance? In some research we have conducted, we have found that the negative effect of agreeableness on earning is stronger for men than for women. That is, being agreeable hurt means earning more than women's. Why do you think this might be the case? Why in the gender basis, that is the agreeableness and the pay structure that is differentiating. This is a research paper measuring the leader behavior, evidence for a big 5 model of leadership, which you can refer, and here we can learn from this, that is this 360-degree survey rating. Earlier also we have talked about this 360-degree, right, and here we can find out this study includes the support for an integrating model of leadership behavior, a large body of psychological research, and the practical implication is this, that is we can identify the effectiveness of the behavior, and if effectiveness of behavior change you are able to predict, you can find out the leaders also. This is the book Personality, What Makes You the Way You Are, like by the Daniel Nettle, and that you can refer if you find it interesting, and showing how our personalities stem from our biological makeup, right. I am sure that you will like this particular book, and you may refer for this particular further studies. These are the references which are for this text and also for your further readings, and this is all about the personality and leadership behavior. Thank you.